Hello and welcome to today's video. A little while ago I reviewed this pen, well actually very recently, but in terms of scheduling the release of the videos, it was a little while ago I reviewed this pen. This is the Asvine V126, and I commented that it does have some similarities here with the Pilot Custom 823, and these are not similarities that have been lost on the fountain pen community either. So yes, today I'm going to do a very quick comparison of these two pens. So I'll say at the outset, I have done full reviews of both of these pens. So I will link to those below. You can check those videos out. And yes, make up your mind for yourself. I have to say, I am a little biased towards the Pilot Custom 823 here. This has been a long time favorite pen of mine. It is an expensive pen. It has a beautiful, unique gold nib on it. There is, in my collection, no other pen that writes quite like this. It's kind of mystically beautiful. So there is a leaning towards that. But in saying that, I really enjoy the Asvine V126. I think at its price point, it does an amazing job. It writes really well. And if you get it for a good price online, you're going to pay, like a sixth the price for the Asvine as you will the Pilot. So looking at the pens, you see there are some similarities. The thing that jumped out instantly is the clip. Now, obviously, this has a black trim versus a gold colored trim, but the shape of the clip, the ball style feature on the end, they are exceptionally similar. The shape of the dome is different. There are slight dimension differences. The cap bands are slightly different. And some of those features around like the bevel down onto the barrel are different. They both are vac filling pens. That is a clear and simple similarity, and one of the reasons why people think these pens are so similar. Then you get different, piston bands, and then the knob is a different shape as well. 1.5 turns there for the Asvine. 1 3/4 turns there for the Pilot. And then looking at the nibs, obviously they are very different nibs. I've said this already. Steel nib on the Asvine versus the beautiful gold nib there on the Pilot. The sections are a different shape. The threads fall in different places. As I said in the original review of the Asvine, I think there are enough differences between the pens to warrant the Asvine not being considered a direct copy, but very clearly being inspired by the Pilot. So to talk about the dimensions, I thought I'd do a good old-fashioned size comparison between the two pens. Now, in almost every way, the Pilot is like 1 millimeter or 1 gram larger than the Asvine. So at its capped length, we have 148 millimeters for the Asvine and 149 for the Pilot. Uncapped, we have 132 for the Pilot versus 130 for the Asvine. And most of that 2 millimeters is in the larger nib there, which is the Pilot sort of a custom size 15 nib. And then posted, we have 163 versus 165 for the Pilot. So as I said, 1 or 2 millimeters bigger in every dimension. The grip sections are about the same at about 11 millimeters around the middle, but the widest point is slightly larger at just over 15 versus around 16 for the Pilot. The weight of the pens, 28 grams for the Asvine, 29 grams for the Pilot. Both have 9-gram caps, and the body of the Asvine weighs 19 and the Pilot weighs 20. So they are very similarly sized pens. Now, the issue with a writing sample comparison of these two pens is that there are many nib sizes available, particularly for the Pilot. Now, I have a medium here on my Asvine, and I've got a broad on the Pilot, steel medium, gold broad. But the line width isn't so different, and I put the same ink in both pens. So I'm going to do a very quick writing sample just so you see them both on the page. So with the Asvine V126 with a steel medium nib. And the ink in both of these is Pilot Iroshizuku Tsukiyo. So you can see lovely, generous line. I'll just do some lines here so we can see a comparison of those two later on. And then, like, this is a slightly soft nib now, not flex, not semi-flex, not really even soft, just a little bit of line variation with gentle pressure, which is nice. And then in terms of wetness, you can see it writes fairly wet there. Now we get the Pilot Custom 823. This is a broad nib, as I said. And once again, Pilot Iroshizuku Tsukiyo. This is, once again, there's a little bit of bounce in this nib, but not flex, not, semi-flex, nothing like that. Wetness, it's probably even slightly wetter there than the Asvine nib. And line width, as I said, this is a medium versus a broad, but you get the idea. The Asvine uses a more Western style nib, and the Pilot Custom 823 uses a very Japanese sort of style nib. So, you always knock it back one, nib size for a Japanese nib in comparison to a Western nib. So they are kind of probably similar, but you see they both write very, very well. So we've come to that part of the video here now where I give my opinion on which one I would get. To preface this, roundabout price, you can get this on Amazon, as I'm filming, for $63 and much less on other websites. Pilot Custom 823 in Australia from decent retailers, $400 to $500. Once again, you can get it on places like eBay through what we call the grey market, which is from Japan on eBay, places like that, for less. But that just gives you a rough idea of the kind of price difference we're talking about here. Now, if the Asvine costs 400 Australian dollars, it's a no-brainer. You'd get the Pilot. If the Pilot costs 63 Australian dollars, you'd get the Pilot. But they both occupy very different price points. They both live in a different world. So for what they both are, I really enjoy both. I really love the Pilot. As I said at the start, the Pilot Custom 823 is one of my absolute favorite fountain pens. It sits in my top 5 any day of the week. Any day of the week, close to the perfect pen. No qualms about that. The Asvine, it makes an interesting case for itself. It writes well. It's got a beautiful form and function, and it's a stunning looking pen. And at that price point, it makes a very, very nice option. So which one would I get? Well, if I could afford it, I would get the Pilot. And I do have the Pilot, so I'm grateful for that. But as an everyday carry pen that writes well, that has a good ink capacity, Asvine is a great choice. So it depends really what you're looking for and how much your budget is. And I know people who are looking at getting the Asvine as a bit of a, toe in the water to see if the Pilot is something that they might want to look at later on. There was also a Wingsung 699, which was even closer ripoff to the Pilot. So there are interesting options around with this form and function. I think the Asvine is a nice one. So thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, hit the notifications button, all that stuff. If you've got products you'd like me to look at, I would love to hear from you. Your support means the world to me and helps this channel exist. A big thank you to Asvine for sending out their V126 for the review and for this comparison. So, in the meantime, enjoy your pens, enjoy writing, and I'll talk to you soon.